Sit back, relax a little bit. Let me tell you a story. See if yours is anything like mine. Remember when I was a kid? So much better when I popped the lid. Feel the rap or open it up.
Exactly, listen to Seany. Right, and Cash Out's the easy way to get money transferred when you're out with friends. So, hop into that and then we'll get back to it.
He said, baby, jump in the back, boy. Tailgate crazy.
Tailgate crazy. What is up, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of Shady Sports Fantasy Football Reports on the Bandwagon. I'm your bus I'm your bus driver. I'm your bus wagoneer. No, I'm your bus driver, Cedric Green, and then we got my co-pilot coming along, hanging on for the ride, Justin over there. What up, Justin?
What up? Not a whole lot. Just enjoying things. I love the Monday Night Miracles. Man,
let me tell you. So, aside from that Monday Night Miracle with this trade deadline, it's just been a hectic ass weekend, man. Like, it's been really wild. Like, so, you know, especially with that Monday Night Miracle. What about Baker Mayfield? What was that, like a 13 play drive? I think for like 70. It was over 70 yards on the last drive to take Tampa Bay down, score a touchdown, tie the game against the undefeated Chiefs, and then lose in overtime.
Yep, it's that pesky overtime.
Would you have gone for two?
No, I would have taken it to overtime. I don't blame the Buccaneers for their decision making. It would just, the way I see it is you always have the ability to stop the other team. It's not just like they get to walk in and get a free touchdown. Like, you have the opportunity to stop them as well. So the defense had to step up, stop the Chiefs, and give their offense another chance at it in overtime to get the win. So just didn't shake out that way. They played admirably, though.
Yeah, no, Baker Mayfield, man, he is having himself a season. It's cool to see, because who else was in that Hall of Fame 5? It was Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, and then that other Josh Rosen, who's out, and Lamar Jackson, right? Well, no, Lamar Jackson wasn't even in the Hall of Fame 5 because he was drafted at the end of the first round. So there was someone else. I don't know who it was.
I don't know either.
But it's cool to see him having a resurgence. I mean, even Sam Darnold, to an extent, having a resurgence style season. It's taken a couple teams, not like it's their second team. I mean, it's taken a few teams for them to mature. But it's cool to see that they weren't giving up on and they were given that chance. And now whoever has them is kind of reaping those benefits of having not only a seasoned quarterback, but a talented seasoned quarterback, right? Yeah, but so we have some trades around the league. This one is kind of interesting because, I mean, fantasy-wise, I don't know if there was any relevancy to be had, but Jonathan Mingo, the Panthers sent him over to the Cowboys for a 4th-round pick. Why are they getting receivers when they just put Dak on IR?
That is my question, too. I don't know why the investment is at wide receiver at the deadline, but
yeah,
Barry Jones is all in, I guess. I don't know what that means. So I think Jalen Tolbert was just fine in that wide receiver 2 spot for the Cowboys. I mean, we haven't seen much of Jalen Brooks or Flurney at all. It's been mostly the CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson show for the passing game with little Tolbert sprinkled in. I don't know where Mingo's going to fit in. He didn't really have a place in Carolina, so I wouldn't put it past that he gets in the same situation, just on a different team. Right. I can see him just be buried on that depth chart, and unless if he really pushes and does something to make a splash to get in the starting lineup. I just see this as a lateral move for him. But maybe in the perspective of a self thing, though, it could be better for him just to be a new scenery, a new team, different environment, and a better chance at opportunities to get on the field than he would have in Carolina.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just such a weird move. I don't know why. And like I said, there's not really much fantasy relevancy there.
No.
On the flip side, though, I feel like a receiver that may find himself in a fantasy relevant spot now. We got Mike Williams, the Jets sending Mike Williams over to the Steelers. What are your thoughts on that? You think that's a good move? I know the Steelers need a good receiver. I know Mike Williams is kind of buried on the depth chart over there over in New York. Does think it's a good move, or was there a better move to be had? What are your thoughts?
I think for Mike Williams, it's a better move. He gets out of a toxic environment, and he was kind of being forced out by Aaron Rodgers because he didn't like him. So that was a good move for him. Just new change of scenery, new environment, new chance for an opportunity. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, I guess maybe this kind of gives them a little bit more options for establishing a second wide receiver behind George Pickens. I don't think Mike Williams is going to usurp Pickens in the wide receiver pecking order there in Pittsburgh. I assume that Pickens is still going to be Russell Wilson's guy. Mike Williams will fit into like maybe be a big play or a dynamic playmaker down the field.
Okay. Do you think
at his age and with his injury, I don't see him boasting a significant usage or purpose to have a spot on your rosters or on your bench or in your line? I haven't seen enough of him this year. Maybe it's just the product of the environment he was in, and that's why he didn't perform the way he did at the beginning of the year. But overall, I just think it's a meh move. Like, it's like, okay, cool. Steelers, you got another wide receiver, but you also, have other issues too. But hopefully it works out for him, and hopefully it goes well for both sides. Jets get what they wanted, and the Steelers get what they want. So hopefully it works out. I'm just not blown away by it for fantasy at all.
You're not going to pick up Mike Williams?
No.
What?
And I don't think I would have anybody interested in buying him either.
Yeah. What up, John Paulo Keefe? John Paulo Keefe, shout out. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. We appreciate you every time.
Yes. Go Buffs. Khalil Herbert. I think this has some fantasy relevancy. Since he sent a 7th round pick, they just put Zach Moss over on IR. In their running room, it hasn't been lights out, but it has been fantasy relevant in sense of you probably need a running back at this time of the year. Are you looking at Khalil Herbert, or are there other options out there?
Absolutely. I see Khalil Herbert having some significant rest of season value for you in fantasy. He'll be a good pace setter in the backfield. I think Chase Brown will move to the passing game role and the third down role a little bit more. And Khalil Herbert will take the first 2 downs. He's the more of like the workhorse between the tackles kind of built running back, whereas Chase Brown is the more pass catching, dual threat running back. So I think they'll complement each other quite well, and that Khalil Herbert could have some fantasy relevance going here rest of season. He's got a tough matchup coming up if he plays against the Ravens on Thursday. I'm not sure if that's a set in stone kind of thing, so I'd be a little bit weary and tentative to be playing him against the Ravens on Thursday night. But after that, I think it's wheels up. I think he'd be a good add on the waiver wire if he's there for affordable price with your fab, or if you can get him for cheap and acquire in a trade, like as an add-on for a package, like X player for so and Khalil Herbert, that'd be a good route to go too. I think he's going to have value. He's going to have a role in that offense in Cincinnati. And at worst, I think you could fill in for buys until the buys are filled, or an injury. I think he'd be just fine in your flex spot once he gets acclimated to the offense.
Especially when you have running backs declining, right? Like ETN, you got oh man, can't even think of his name over at the Jets. Breece Hall. He's been so.
Oh, come on now, he'll
where
be
has
fine.
He been?
Nowhere we want, but I think he'll be fine.
Okay.
But like with Khalil Herbert, though, he's shown some flashes with Chicago, and he's had the opportunity to step up when other running backs have been injured back there before DeAndre Swift showed up. So, I mean, it wasn't anything that was superstardom or by all means, but he also wasn't by any means a scrub when he played in Chicago. When he got opportunities, he made the most of them. He just got buried on that depth chart in the running back room this year, so he wasn't able to showcase his abilities. And I think the Bears were kind of protecting him for this time of the year too, to make a move and trade him and move on from him, because he was obviously not going to be a part of that offense in Chicago. That's more of DeAndre Swift's running back room and Roschon for the goal line and change of pace duties. So I think Chase Brown, Khalil Herbert, they'll complement each other real well when he fits in. He'll have some productivity to be had. And I guess now is the time to get him, because if he ends up going off, I think the value could fluctuate enough to where it would he wouldn't necessarily be unattainable. He just would be, kind of harder to put into a trade or make happen because he holds some value as a starting running back.
Dang. So not saying D-Hop and the Chiefs, who won the trades so far, or that you can think of? Who would you say came out on the better end as far as like fantasy relevant trades?
I think like right now you haven't had much to see of it because he was hurt last week and had a not good game the week before that. I think in the long-term rest of season, the most fitting trade to have happen for both sides for fantasy relevance would be, to me, Amari Cooper to the Bills, which being with Josh Allen in that offense, that team is going to be playing for a playoff spot to win a division, have some very relevant and meaningful games down the stretch, and he could step up when healthy to be a very impactful player in your fantasy lineups going forward. So I think that trade is probably the best one for fantasy so far.
Okay. I can see
right
that.
now it hasn't looked well because of the injury, but when he gets back healthy, I think he'll do great.
Yeah.
Outside of D-Hop and Patrick Mahomes so far.
Yeah, right. Well, I would say, I guess if you're rocking with Zach Moss, which I mean, if you're using Zach Moss as your starter, you're probably not too happy.
Yeah,
anyway.
You have to throw him in your IR spot, but I feel if you don't have an IR spot, if you have this space on your roster, bench him. Otherwise, I'm fine straight up just dropping him. I think it's going to be a Chase Brown offense with Khalil Herbert sprinkled in, and then once he gets acclimated, it'll be more of like a 50-50.
Oh, I was going to say, are we getting Nico Collins back?
No, he ain't playing against the Lions. He's scared. He's too scared to play against the Lions, so sorry.
No.
On a serious note, though, sorry, that was just my bias kicking in there. On a serious note, I think there is a window for him to play this week. However, if I put on my general manager hat on and I look at it as a team management thing, I think you hold him out one more week if you're trying to make an honest rest of season playoff push run to win a division and go deep in the playoffs, because you're going to want to have 100% healthy Nico Collins on your roster. If there's any question of his health going into this game, I would err on the side of caution. Now, that sucks for us for fantasy football. We want him out there. We need him to score points. our team's hurting comparatively to his production that he's had earlier in the season. But if I had to take the side of, do I want him now with the risk of re-injuring again for those points, or do I want him to sit one more week, try to fill in here with one of these players like Amari Cooper or DeAndre Hopkins that I've been filling in and doing all right with, and having him for the rest of the season for sure without any higher risk of injury? I lean on both the NFL and fantasy wise. Like I know in some of your leagues you could be desperate because your record and you need wins. But
Right.
I just overall, I think it's wiser for them to have him rest one more week to make sure he's fully healthy and good to go. Because we saw it with Stroud without Nico. You've seen what the offense looks like without Nico. So if you brought him back and then he goes right back out, you're in that same boat and that same problem again, and your value for Stroud goes down. Other than Mixon, that entire passing offense goes down with Nico out of the rotation. So I say, though, if he is good to go, ready to go, I guess fire him up there. I would proceed with caution just because soft tissue injuries have a funny way of finding their way back into the fold and taking people out. So that's where I sit with it. And then as a Lions fan, I would absolutely not like him to see him play this Sunday night because he's a very dangerous and very potent player, and I respect his talent.
So say you do got Nico Collins, you had AJ Brown, he just went down, he's day-to-day. Who are you picking up in place of him? Are you trying to go out and get a Zay Flowers, or are you looking at someone that's maybe starting to come up, like maybe an Xavier Legette or something like that? Or I guess, or someone like him, not something like that.
I don't think I would be trading AJ Brown or Nico Collins to try to acquire one of these guys, because I think they'll be back sooner than we think. I mean, I don't see AJ Brown missing more than a week. And same with Nico. They'll be back in a week or so. So you just, when you're looking at your lineups, you're just trying to survive this week without him. If you're just trying to survive this week without him, I think some good ads you could have off the waiver wire, off the top of my head, I would say it really depends on your league too, who's available. But like, if I'm just trying to think off the top, who would be this deep in the year on waiver wires at wide receiver position? Maybe, let me think here. Dig deep.
There's not really much.
Maybe Sterling Shepard, but he's got a tough matchup against San Francisco, and Mike Evans isn't looking to be back yet from his injury until after the bye. If you're really desperate, you can try a little Jordan Humphrey, but he has a habit of dropping the ball or not catching it, which is not so good for NFL or for fantasy. I know Justin Watson for the Chiefs, he had a couple big catches last night in this game, so he could fill in for you. Otherwise, a name to emerge that I would say keep an eye on, with Mike Evans moving to the Steelers and out of that rotation, the wide receiver room, maybe look at a potential Xavier Gibson. Maybe he gets on the field a little bit more, gets more reps in some play. He's had flashes this season of production, but he's been really mostly inconsistent and unnecessary or unreliable for that Jets offense. But he's someone to look at. I guess one of the big ones, if he's still there, smash grab him, but I don't think he will be there, is Demarcus Robinson from the Rams.
Okay.
He had a big game last week. And
you think that'll continue?
I don't know. I don't know.
His
but
only two worthy games all season. He's been he had those 2 games, and then his next high score was 8 points.
Yeah. It's really looking in a lot of leagues as I go through the waiver wire. It's really bare. It's really hard to find quality players at this point to fill in for those injuries. But I mean, if it's the right deal and you're that desperate, you could try to move AJ Brown and Nico Collins for one or two pieces that might, fit to get you through this week, but also realize you're giving up two superstar players for, just help in the short term. And you got to see where you value that in your terms of rest of the season and where you're going with your team.
Yeah.
It might just be too big of a move to do. So, yeah, it sucks. It's rough, but just keep an eye throughout the week on injuries and how depth charts are looking like and who's emerging where.
What
And
about like Ricky Purcell or like a Ray McLeod? Are you looking at these guys? Or
that's a good name, Ray McLeod. I don't know if Ricky Purcell is available. If he is, go and scoop him up if you can for cheap off the waivers. Ray McLeod might be actually, and that might actually be a good one with the injury to Drake London, your favorite player.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
which I don't know what his health is looking like after yesterday, so keep an eye on that. But that's a good one, Seth. That might actually just be one of the top ones to look at because he might not be rostered in that many leagues.
Yeah, you're probably not. Well, I mean, he did have like a good game.
Yeah, so, like a couple other ones that are, Jalen Tolbert, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, maybe he emerges, even though with the tier down at quarterback, he'll still have some opportunities if CeeDee Lamb's injury is serious enough to where it holds him out of games that he might step up in the wide receiver 1 spot and have more opportunities for volume. Another guy to look at possibly is Noah Brown out of Washington. He's had a couple big plays. He kind of fits the same tier as like a Quentin Johnston if he's available. I mean, he had a big game this last week, and maybe he sees more of the eye of Justin Herbert going forward. It's really a lot of dart throws. One based off just the fact that Kyler's playing a little bit better, maybe a Michael Wilson if he's on the waiver wire. I know they play the Jets at home this week, so kind of scary, but Michael Wilson also drew a blank check this week and didn't have any catches or targets. So, after waivers tonight, also keep an eye on the waiver wire. See who gets dropped after tonight's waivers process through, and maybe you see somebody that someone was really willing to get rid of, and you can scoop them up for cheap for a wide receiver.
Right. Maybe somebody dropped someone thinking they weren't going to do nothing or that they didn't do anything, and then boom.
Yeah, in one league I'm in, a guy dropped Jameson Williams a couple weeks ago when he got the suspension. So maybe Jameson Williams is out there sitting on your waiver wires. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, we got a question in. Let's get it.
Hey, maybe I'll get it in because he's a Lion. Last wide receiver you could possibly replace AJ Brown or Nico Collins with this week. Throw in Mr. Tim Patrick. Go see if he's out on the waiver wires. Pick up Fireball.
I don't know about all that. I'd slow on that.
Slow the roll. Yeah,
that's not enough points to be jumping and throwing them in there and anything.
I mean, if you're that desperate, though.
But you never know. He might. He was 2-2, so it might build off of that for sure. But yeah, I mean, with Jameson Williams coming back, I don't know how hard is Timmy Pat going in these games. Other than what he needs to do, but I mean, hey, if you're desperate and you need a receiver,
that's what if you're desperate here, that's someone to like throw a dart throw because you got
a whole lot of guys you can get before that guy. So don't just go listening to Justin.
We love Tim Patrick, but just wait now.
Well, I mean, I would say maybe like if you're in a bad position in like a dynasty league or something, a deeper league, then yeah, man, go jump on it. You're gonna get you should get at least 2 points, right? If you just need 2 points.
You never know. With Goff, he could catch his eye.
True, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. So like it could be that Sunday, quite honestly. So don't count it out quite. And if it does go off,
they're playing the Texans this weekend Sunday night, and it might be a shootout. It might be a lot of throwing balls.
Yeah.
And Andrew, thank you for your question. Thank you for chiming in. We appreciate it.
Yep. Kareem Hunt or T. Higgins at flex and a half point PPR.
If Higgins is healthy, have you seen anything on him for his
No.
injury? Where he's at? Has he been practicing?
Let me see. I guess I kind of fell off on T. Higgins since he went out because he's been out since what?
But hey,
week
if
7.
T. Higgins is playing this weekend,
He
I
didn't
would.
practice on Tuesday.
He didn't?
No, it was a DMP.
Okay. Well, as of right now, Andrew, I'd go Kareem Hunt over Higgins at flex. As of right now, but if it changes it later on in the week by like Friday, he's practicing and gearing up and looks like he's ready to go, then I would probably play T. Higgins over Kareem Hunt in the flex spot. Kareem Hunt's got a tall glass of water to overcome here playing Denver. And that is I know he just got romped on by King Henry, but everybody has gotten stomped on by King Henry. So it's kind of at this point an accepted fact. But I think Denver comes back stronger, wiser, smarter, faster, harder. And it's a divisional game. So they got a lot to play for. That rivalry is big and strong and is a thing. So I know Kareem Hunt's game was saved last night by a late touchdown. So outside of that, he kind of had a whole hum game. So yeah, I don't know where you lean, said, but if Higgins is healthy, I'd go Higgins. But as of right now, I'd go Hunt with the injury concern with Higgins. But I suppose you don't like playing anybody against your Broncos.
I would say play Hunt you want to. You go get like 10 yards and 3 fumbles.
Do you think Kareem Hunt has a Derrick Henry-like game against the Broncos, or he has a...
I think he's going to do more than T. Higgins if T. Higgins isn't practicing, isn't playing.
Yeah, true.
But I don't know if they're going to allow that many yards. So, Kansas
Do you think
City
the Broncos are going to tighten up after last week?
They are pretty similar to the Ravens in how they're set up. Patty Mahomes can slash and slice and dice too when he's running as well. So you do got to kind of pick your poison, but you can kind of focus in a little bit more to where you're not just like, okay, we're going to completely give up and give this. So I think Kareem Hunt's still going to get some yards, but we do have a tough rushing defense, and I think they'll fall back into form. Not having to stretch so thin and worry about every single place in the field. But I'd go Kareem Hunt over Higgins. If Higgins is playing, then Burrow's probably gonna be looking for him.
Yeah, I think Higgins would be more susceptible to the big play, so I would, for that factor. And I think Burrow is going to come out hungry and that's also a rivalry game. But here's a caveat with that said is Andrew has to make this decision by Thursday because Ravens Bengals play Thursday night.
Right, and that's a big game. And if he's not practicing, he's probably not going to play. It's not like they need him. So, yeah, I'd probably go Hunt with that.
Okay. But what do you think with your Broncos? Are they going to be able to knock the Chiefs off and get the first loss of the year?
Yeah, I'm very confident we're about to come in hot.
Is that game in Kansas City or is that in Denver?
It's in Kansas City, but we don't care.
Uh-oh.
We're ready for it.
You're going to be playing in front of Taylor Swift,
go out there and knock them off.
You're going to be playing in front of Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Taylor Swift better shake it off. That's one of her songs.
I got
yeah, you're gonna
That's
send
some
them back
comedy
home,
here on the show, guys. To get some
I'm
telling
you, all I'm gonna say is, Patty's probably gonna lock up D-Hop, man. He's gonna have to. Who else do they have? Xavier Worthy already dropping passes on his own. So,
you firing up D-Hop this week against Riley Moss or Pats? Oh, who does PS2 cover? Who does he take?
He's covering D-Hop.
He is?
Yeah, man. Who else?
So are you worried about starting D-Hop this week, or are you firing him up anyways after last night's nuclear game?
He had 2 short touchdowns. He'll probably get it because it's D-Hop. He does have the most
6 points is 6 points. if you get two touchdowns, that's 12 points versus 10 catches for 60 yards.
Yeah, but I think that's all he went off with like 25, 26 points. I'm probably not firing him up just because if PS2 is locking him down, he's going to have a Mike Evans type game.
So do you think Xavier Worthy or Travis Kelce have the bigger game? Or
Kelsey's probably going to have himself a game just because, I mean, tight ends always are Achilles for sure.
Yeah. But on the Broncos side of the ball, who's going to be their tight end this week?
The Broncos? Here, let me look that up. Let's take a break really quick.
Oh, yeah, shoot. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Nah, you're good. Let's take a break real quick. We'll pull it up and then we'll get back to it.
Cool.
Yes, y'all. Hey, thanks for joining in. Those of you just joining in, those of you that have been with us the whole time, it's Fantasy Football Reports over here on Shady Sports Network. I am your bus driver on the bandwagon, Cedric Green, and then we got the co-pilot, Justin, over there on the other side. What up, Justin? Before we went, you were asking, what were you asking?
Who do you think will emerge at tight end for the Broncos this weekend in Kansas City? Who's going to be the tight end premier in Denver?
Yeah, right. Will we see Dulcich finally?
Is he still hurt?
I don't know what's up with him. I think he's actually no. He was inactive. It was coach's decision though for week 9. So we'll see. He was a healthy scratch in week 8. If inactive in week 7. I just don't think they're trying to play him. I think Sean Payton probably just wants to get rid of him.
Okay.
He hasn't played since they drafted him. Sean Payton didn't draft him.
You got tight ends on bye, or you got injured tight ends, and people aren't really looking to make a move for tight ends as far as trading.
No,
you wouldn't go after Kroll or Troutman or any of the Denver tight ends to fill in this week.
Troutman did have himself a game in week 8, right? That was it. Kroll, I think he had himself somewhat of a mini game. No, he had a mini game in week 7. You could, in theory, because Bo Nix is a streamer. If you got quarterbacks on bye, you need a quarterback.
Okay.
But probably not. That's a risk if you want to take it. Quite honestly, you just go into it hoping to get maybe like a point or two or stay in the positive, right?
Yeah, we just know how much the tight end position is kind of a wasteland outside the top 10 players, and if you don't have that, so it was just I was curious to see if you have any optimism, any faith in any of them going forward, or is there mostly just stay away from players?
I'd probably stay away from them, but if you need a tight end, then yeah, I'm not trading for any of them, though, I'll tell you that. So
that's cool. Fresh take.
What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I think if I absolutely had to have one, I had to choose one. I have to make a decision on one of them. I think that Troutman is probably the safer option at the tight end position going out of Denver.
Yeah.
Kroll has been in and out of the lineup with injury. Dulcich is out with an injury. But we've seen Nix have a couple moments of connection with Troutman, and he's kind of had a so-so game because of it. So out of the 3 available tight ends in the Denver tight end room, if I had to choose one that I had to take a flyer on, hope for maybe 3 to 5 points and not get a goose out of it, probably be Adam Troutman out of those 3.
Yeah, but I was gonna say I don't think I'm taking really anyone off the offense besides Bo Nix. Cortland Sutton's been having himself a couple games the past 2 weeks, but nothing outside of that, So nothing worth looking at, Even on the other side, Kansas City, I'm hesitant to start Patty Mahomes. I'd have to see another week of him doing his thing before I'm putting him back in the lineup. Kareem Hunt, he's a must start. I'm starting him. If I have him on my lineup, it's probably because I had a running back that went out, and that's hurt still. So probably starting him. And outside, that's about it. Probably, Kelsey. Yeah, you got Kelsey. You're playing Kelsey regardless. You're not looking at the tight ends. You're just living by, die by Travis Kelsey, right? So D Hop, yeah, like you said, you're playing D Hop. If you picked him up, you're probably putting him in. You probably need him, so you got him in there too. So, but yeah, on the Broncos side, I mean, maybe I would look at Troutman first, but I think Kroll is like the sexier pick of the two. That's the one you want to see to go off. That's the one they want to see go off. They got another tight end on the bench. I can't think of his name. It came from San Francisco, I think. That they have not rolled out.
I know they got Darnold Parham from the Chargers.
Parham.
He's been on the practice squad. I've been waiting to see him emerge. I have him in the 32-team Dynasty League and a couple other leagues, and I just been stashing him because he's shown flashes when he's played with Los Angeles that he's a good tight end. He's a big red zone target, and he's got hands to catch the ball well enough that he can gain the confidence of any quarterback throwing to him.
Right. What do you guys out there think? It looks like
who are you taking? Chiefs? You taking Broncos?
No. Who are you taking Broncos, and why are you not taking the Chiefs? That's how you should be asking that question right there. Because we know, right? We saw what just happened, man. We saw what just happened. They were almost beat by a Tampa Bay team with a bunch of not no names, because these guys you gotta put some respect on Sterling Shepard. You know what I mean? Like, these guys led their teams at one point too. So it's just cool to see that band of misfits taking it to the wire with the Chiefs, and it's just the Chiefs just look beatable every week, right? And then somehow they come out with the win. It's weird. It's like you said.
I was thinking if the Buccaneers just would have had a better running game and a more established running game, they could have controlled the clock better and won that game.
Well, Bucky Irvin's been hurt too, so.
Well, it wasn't part of their game planning. They were throwing it, hucking it, chucking it, and when you want to gunsling with Mahomes, you gotta face the music there, and sometimes it doesn't go in your favor.
Yep, and then that's the thing too. Like, that's okay. We need them to win, so they come in all on their high horse, so we can knock them off and get us back into it. So I'll take that for sure. Yeah. So hey, we got Damian Hernandez. What up?
Hello, Damian. Thanks. Welcome to the channel.
Who do y'all think won the trade deadline, and who do y'all think lost? I think the Broncos lost.
Yeah, they didn't make any moves.
Yeah, it's like Superman ain't walking through that door. That's the words of Sean Payton. I don't understand those words, because what does he mean? He tried to trade for DK Metcalf and they couldn't get him.
Yeah, that's curious, because you just got showed up by your biggest competition in the AFC, and you're not looking to make any moves to improve your team. I mean, if you can't beat a team like the Ravens at this stage with what you got, the thought process you can beat them later in the year in the playoffs, probably playing in Baltimore again.
Not only that, like, the Chiefs didn't even trade for Kareem Hunt. They just went and signed Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
We could have had Kareem Hunt.
You could have.
Right?
Blank
we had
check.
Jamal Charles here for a season.
You got like one of the wealthiest owners. Just blank check.
I don't get it, man. Like, I get it because they are right on schedule, right? I think they're on schedule where I think they're on schedule where they need to be.
I agree with Damian here. I was going to say the biggest losers are the Bears.
Top headline
one of them, but we'll let
Sleeper.
Damian have that one because that was his take. But I agree with it. The Bears are a big loser.
On Sleeper, should Chicago fire Matt Eberflus? But anyway, I digress.
Absolutely. Blow that
Back
whole thing up. The team's garbage. Bears suck.
Broncos,
They still suck. They always will suck.
Back on track though, the Broncos.
Sorry.
Bears do suck.
We all fired up with Bears.
No, but for what they have though, right? But you look at it like, okay, I feel like Bo Nix is right where he needs to be. Like Caleb
Mhm.
Williams is not where he needs to be.
Bo needs
Right.
help though. You should have got a
Bo
running back,
does
a wide
need help.
receiver, a tight
But
end.
what are
Something.
you gonna get that for? Because he needs help everywhere. Like there's
Yeah,
too many
we gotta start
positions that he
somewhere.
needs help at. I guess. I don't know. What
But if the
yeah.
price is right, apparently the price wasn't right for the guys, so they didn't want to open the checkbook and make moves that they didn't feel were necessary or fit the team. So
they still got Sutton too. I
oh,
was
whoops.
surprised on that.
Yeah.
Sutton
Sutton can't be the only target and be catching all that double coverage every game and expect him to pull off 100-yard games left and right.
He needs to. He's supposed to. Yeah, so
apologies, Damian, for that harsh Lions bias here. I understand you're a Bears fan. I love you,
guys,
Damian. Not so much the Bears.
The Bears. Thanks for tuning in, Damian. Hey, I think the Bears are an exciting team. But I do just feel like that Caleb Williams should be a lot farther along than where he is.
It comes down to coaching. It feels like they're struggling on the coaching side of the ball. Caleb's got all the talent in the world. They brought in weapons to help him out. The defense has been playing mightily. It's just something's not, translating on the road. They've lost their last 18 games on the road on Sundays. That's not a good record. That needs to be turned around and changed. Hopefully for them, it's sooner than later. I know they're playing the Patriots at home this weekend, so that's a good remedy to get that sour taste out of your mouth from playing Arizona and getting beat. So I think they'll handedly take that matchup against the Patriots. They'll have a bunch of turnovers, and Caleb should get right with some passing touchdowns, and the running game will do its thing. I think it'll be a good weekend for the Bears.
Well, I mean, speaking of that NFC.
Oh, I was just going to answer his question too, real quick. Who I think won and lost? I think definitely the winners of the trade deadline, specifically today of the trade deadline, was the Steelers getting a second wide receiver to help out Pickens and help out Russell Wilson, and not necessarily the flashiest move or like the premier move that you'd like to see made, but they at least identified a need and addressed it by going out and getting it. Like they needed a second wide receiver. Calvin Austin wasn't cutting it. Van Jefferson wasn't cutting it. I don't know who their other options are behind that, but it wasn't working. It was Pickens and then maybe Fryermuth and nothing else. So I think they won the trade deadline today, getting a wide receiver who's proven it. He's got talent. He's got performances under his belt. The only question is his injury health. Is he going to be able to stay healthy rest of season and help them
when
contribute?
Has he stayed healthy a whole season?
I know, exactly. So that's the biggest question mark. That's the biggest risk. But clearly the Steelers thought that was enough to, give up for him. That made it worth it.
Mike Williams.
Dude, I love Damian. I got the same sentiment in him, but it's not very a popular opinion. But yeah, I agree.
Well, who's your biggest loser?
Oh, my biggest loser? Probably the Cowboys, just because I don't understand. You go out and get a wide receiver and you got a quarterback that's now an IR. You have running back problems. You don't have a running game at all. And your defense is hurt. You didn't get any pass rushers to help out because Micah is still out, and along with the other players. It just I just don't understand. It's a poorly mismanaged team down there, and no love lost though. I don't like the Cowboys either, so I don't think Sam likes them either. So that's probably good for the whole NFC East. But on the defensive side of the ball, that was just on offense. Defensive side of the ball, winners of the trade deadline, I think the Commanders are by getting Marshawn Lattimore. That really helps out that second.
Yeah, we didn't really touch on the defensive side, but there was some cornerback move or some defensive back moves.
Yeah, that was the one that I liked the most out of the trade deadline. On the defensive side of the ball, you all know I like my IDP players playing in leagues and such. So I think the Lattimore going to the Commanders is a good touch. It's a great team right now playing great football, and putting a talent like his back there in the secondary to help out those young players and those inexperienced players get some steadiness back there. It'll only help that team and that defense going forward.
Tell me what you think about this trade.
What trade? Where?
I just saw it. It's in one of my leagues. So I just saw this trade offer go through. They're sending.
Oh, it hasn't been processed. It's pending.
It's accepted. Yeah, it's pending.
Okay, hit me with it.
I don't care if you trade midgets. Oh.
Got some sauce there with that trade.
Take that back. Anyway, so they're sending Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to receive Sam Laporta, Puka Nacua, Rashad White, and Kyler Murray. That is such a crazy trade, but it's like looking at it, it's like, oh dang, that's so big. I don't know, but then looking at like the actual stats,
are the Bengals still need to go on a bye yet? Like, is their bye still?
Yeah, week 12.
Because you're losing both of those players here in the upcoming weeks for a week.
But Kyler Murray ain't doing nothing
yet.
You probably got Patty Mahomes. Well, if you got Kyler Murray, he probably is. You probably got somebody else like Josh Allen.
Yeah, maybe. I shall wait.
Basically, just rebuilding the dude's team. Even though, he's still, that's a lot of points you're giving away though.
I think you're giving away too much. I mean, I like the players involved. I feel like they're equal or close to equal value, but I think the one side is just giving up way too many pieces for that trade. I mean, if you're a contender, you're really hoping by obtaining Burrow and Chase, you're really upgrading your team and taking it to the next level. But also, if you're not competing, though, it feels kind of like a throwaway trade. Like, hey, I'll give you this player for a couple players I like.
Yeah.
So it can go either way. I'm not against the trade at all by any means. That's fine. Do if that works for your team build and what your roster construction looks like, but also taking the risk of the trade of, Burrow and Chase still have to go take a bye week here coming up, and so you have to fill in those spots, and you're giving up a couple extra players that could have filled in that spot while they were gone.
Yeah.
Some wild trades you got there, said.
That's not my trade. I couldn't even think of a trade that crazy.
Especially for a midget.
I didn't say any of that. You said that. I didn't say that.
You see Kyler, wow. No. Did you see Macaulay Culkin dress up as Joe Burrow for Halloween?
Yeah. That was a good one.
Sorry, we're off track now. I'm sorry, guys.
No worries. Hey, so actually, let's go. Got another promo we can throw in there real quick. Let's do that real quick, and we'll come right back. And then we'll talk about those Lions.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the story of my life. No respect. No respect.
How are you?
Bring them things. I call the plug. Bring them things.
That's money. That's cash out.
Forever you and me.
Oh,
that Manscaped commercial is so hilarious. Oh yeah, so
unfortunately, you don't want to be sponsored by us anymore, so that's cool.
Well, we couldn't get nobody to sign up. You gotta get people gotta go use that code.
That's hey, it's winter season. I gotta keep this beard going, man.
Yeah, see, so
starting to get cold up here.
Well, you Manscaped and line it up and use the code and get a deal on like a scrubber pad.
I suppose you're right. Yeah, I could.
No,
I have options.
We all do. So yeah, we said jumping over. We got that Lions Texan game battle of
Sunday
two
night
division
football.
leaders. Yeah, some were saying this could even be. This is even a preview of the big game What are your thoughts going into this game?
Could be. In the words of Dan Campbell, could be.
Mm-hmm.
Could be.
Well, yeah, you got any thoughts, any insights?
I personally think at this point of the year, if it was going to be the Lions in the Super Bowl, that their opponent would be the Buffalo Bills right now.
Oh.
That's what I think. So, but the Texans are still an option out there technically. So, and I wouldn't be opposed to that because I know we're gonna beat up on the Texans or this Sunday. If it happens to be on Super Bowl Sunday too, I'm fine with that as well. We'll beat them twice. Twice is nice.
Done.
Yeah, we got Sonic and Knuckles said we're coming for those rings, man.
Hopefully they go off this week, man, because 14
You think
points
so?
in
Who are
it.
your fantasy studs and hopefuls and booms
All the running
for
backs in this game?
all of them? You think
Every
Mixon's
running back
gonna
that's
eat?
touching the ball, Mixon's gonna go off for sure.
So because I'm in agreement with you, I think it's gonna be a running game. I think it's gonna be Mixon goes off. I think it's gonna be Sonic and Knuckles going off,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that the quarterbacks just play well enough to keep the chains moving, keeping some people fantasy relevant. Like,
Yeah, Nico Collins coming back. He's on track. They only put him on IR just to make sure he was good. He could have came back
it'll be a
last
telling
week.
thing because it for the Texans, they just like the Packers played a hurt Love, and it wasn't enough to get the job done. So, do they really want to risk throwing Nico out there up against that secondary who's playing physical, getting interceptions, and really forcing turnovers on the defensive side of the ball? Is it really worth, risking re-injury? But if they're desperate enough, I feel if Nico does play, it just shows how desperate the Texans are to get a win here. And come on, and
Look at this guy with his aluminum foil hat, guys. They're not. they should be desperate to get a win, though, right? Like, granted, in that division, let me pull up see the record. I think there's still like 2 games ahead.
But no, yeah, I agree with you. I think the running backs are going to be the X factors in this game, and I think the Goff will be efficient. He'll be precise. He'll do what he's been doing.
But this is a measuring stick game. You want to get a win in this game. You definitely want to get a win in this game.
I think the Lions definitely, their defense is improved, and hopefully their pass rush gets there a little bit more this weekend. I would like. I mean, they added a piece in Zadarius Smith. We'll see how fast he can get acclimated to that defense and make his presence known on Sunday.
We'll see if that slows down Joe Mixon, man, who pretty much ran over the entire Jets team by himself.
Yeah, he's just been a force to
win that game. Yeah, man.
I trust Dan Campbell to get those boys ready to go, and having Aaron Glenn back there getting his defense ready and knowing that their biggest threat in this game is Joe Mixon.
Mm-hmm. This could be a shootout, man. It could be a shootout.
But CJ Stroud hasn't looked too good these last couple of weeks, has he? Or what do you think about CJ?
His guys, man. He hasn't had his guys. Let him get his boys back. You know what I mean? The boys come back.
Well, Stephon Diggs is done for the year. He isn't getting him back.
Huh?
I said, Diggs is done for the year. He ain't getting him back.
Yeah, that sucks. But take it back. Go back to last season. You had Nico Collins. You had Tank Dell. You had Dalton Schultz, and they ran it. Just go run it. It was a nice dream to think, and they could get Stephon Diggs back if they make it deep into the playoffs. I don't think I'd have to look for sure. I don't think he's completely out.
So who are you taking Sunday night? Texans at home, or are you taking the Lions?
Oh man. Well, I'll have to think about this. I'll tell you Sunday night.
Yeah, tune in, guys. Find out Sed's answer.
Is this the second Lions game? Yeah, this is our second. This will be our second Lions game. Right?
I love it.
That's cool. We got 1 Broncos game, 2 Lions game.
So that's a good little teaser there. Game. So yeah, save that answer for Sunday night, Sed. Have people tune in and find out.
Damon, thanks for tuning in, man. But I ain't posting those up. You got some words.
Yes. The language is a little spicy for our for our channel, but hey,
keep it in.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I love the comments. Keep it coming, keep it coming. But yeah, no, I think this is gonna be a good game. It's definitely obviously game of the week. That's why they have it Sunday night, prime time. Lions have been in prime time, it seems like quite a bit. Texans have been in
They're
prime
fun
time, seems
football to
like quite a
watch.
bit. Yeah, and like you said, I think they're kind of looking the same, quite honestly, even though Goff hasn't been looking bad, he hasn't exactly been lighting it up. And with Stroud, the way he's been looking lately, he hasn't exactly been lighting it up. They've both been focused on that running game a little bit more and then a tough-nosed defense. So I'm excited to see. It's cool to see like two of the same types of teams, but from different conferences and see where they stack up. Because I mean, you can say Stroud's a younger version of Goff. He's more precise, more just kind of there to do work, blue collar quarterback, not trying to be too flashy, not trying to be too flashy, not trying to, run for 100 yards a game and stuff, just trying to do what needs to be done, and the best way possible. So, and both of them, you got Jared Goff has 1,840 yards, 158 completions out of 211 attempts, with 14 touchdowns and against 4 interceptions. Then you got CJ Stroud with 2,139 yards, 188 completions out of 296 attempts. So a whole lot more attempts. Not a whole lot more, like 40 more attempts. But 11 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. So they're still kind of in that same realm of passes.
No, I think that's a great comparison. Said those two guys, they're functioning about the same in their relative offenses. They're not being superhuman, not being superheroes, but they're also not being duds and potatoes and like flopping their team.
They're not just game managers,
but
they are managing their teams for sure. They are the CEO of their team and showing that. I think is a whole different from just a game manager, whereas they're doing an exceptional job at and like you said, Stroud hasn't been looking the best. He hasn't had his guys, so it hasn't been exactly like keyed in 100% timing down. But I mean, it's still been holding it down, getting it done.
Yeah,
they had a chance to beat the Jets. It wasn't like they got blown out by the Jets. So
their offensive line was not doing Stroud any favors. He was sacked 8 times. So my biggest X factor from this game coming Sunday night is that defensive pressure, that line up front on the defense for the Lions going up against that soft offensive line and protecting CJ Stroud of the Texans. I mean, I'm amazed at how Joe Mixon's been finding lanes, finding holes, and breaking through the way he has with that shaky offensive line that they got down there in Houston. So I think the game will be won or lost by if the Lions can get pressure, get to CJ Stroud, force some turnovers, and keep everything in front of them, or if CJ Stroud and Mixon are able to break through, find the holes in the defense, and just do enough to keep that pass rush at bay.
Yeah. So, we're talking about fantasy relevant players. What about the wide receivers?
Are we starting Amon-Ra St. Brown? We agree he's a lock. You fire him up?
Yeah, I would imagine so, because if you have him, you probably drafted him to be your one.
Well, if you look at his last couple games, he has a touchdown in the last 6 games. He's guaranteed 6 points.
When's the last time he dropped the ball?
He has not in a while.
I'd have to go through and look at all of them to see.
Yeah,
so I definitely am firing him up. Is Williams going to be back?
Yes, he is reinstated. He will play Sunday night. He's been practicing and training in the facility the last 2 weeks, and he's been keeping his body in shape.
So are you firing him up, knowing that connection he has with Jared Goff from the beginning of
I
the
am
season?
comfortable firing up in my flex spot. I'm not comfortable enough to play him in one of my top 2 wide receiver things. I think this is going to be a game where he can fit in with like a special play or smaller playbook and like a gadget play that busts off for a big one. So that way I fit him more in the flex realm. Same with Tank Dell. Like I'm fine flexing Tank Dell or Jamison Williams, all the wide receivers this game.
Yeah, definitely fine with flexing Tank Dell. I feel like this is the game Laporta is going to go off. I'm even fine, playing like a Cade Otton and flexing a Laporta, because I just hate benching Laporta.
Yeah. Hey, Laporta is one of those players where it's just the mindset. You either need to start him every game and accept the sub 10-digit double digits, or you get rewarded and getting those 20, 30 points. So it's just Because as soon as you bench him, that's when you get bit, and then that's where the bad blood starts and whatnot. That you just keep firing him out, keep putting him out there. Which also the Lions have been susceptible to tight ends this season, so I wouldn't be too afraid to be even firing out Dalton Schultz. Maybe he, has dozen so points. I mean, he could be effective against that defense this week.
Especially if Nico Collins doesn't come back or comes back in a limited form or something like that. I could see Dalton Schultz.
Because Tank Dell isn't necessarily pulling defenders off of him, so it isn't really stretching or spreading the field for Schultz. If Nico's back, that'll at least take a defender or two off of him so he can find the holes in the different zigzag patterns in the defense.
Yep. Very, very true. Very true. Very true.
And then are we firing up all the running backs this week or advice? Throw in your mix in, your Montgomery, your Gibbs.
Well, Montgomery, I mean, I'd flex him. For sure. I mean, and I got no problem throwing him in there as running back too. If you have both of them, or if you have him.
I've seen in a few leagues that people have both guys on their lineup in their rosters. They've been firing them up in their 1-2 spot, and they've been getting 20, 30 points each week. So
yeah, that's what I do. I live by that.
But yeah, I'm firing up all three running backs, and I'm actually firing up these quarterbacks. I think I'm agree with you. I don't know what the over under is for this week, what Vegas has it as, but I would guess I think 30 points gets you the win this week. Whatever the first team to get to 30 is probably going to be the one that comes out as the winner. And I think there's going to be a lot of points to be scored. So I can see Stroud and Goff both throwing a couple touchdowns, maybe a turnover here, but somewhere between 200 and 300 yards. And that's not bad for your quarterback spot. That's 20, 25 points. So I'm comfortable firing up both quarterbacks. A lot of pieces in these offenses we like for that game Sunday night. There's a lot of fantasy relevancy. Now, the kickers, I mean, if you're in a kicker league, play them both. What do you think? It's going to be in a dome at night. I don't know. What do you see any better options than?
Well, I mean, I got no problem with the Lions kicker. What's his name?
Jake Bates.
I just feel like Fairbairn. I mean, it really is dependent. Granted, like you said, if they're scoring points, if it's a game where there's points scored, then fire.
Yeah, with both these kickers, I can easily see 6 to 10 points, maybe 2 field goals and an extra point, or maybe a handful of extra points and a field goal sprinkled in there, somewhere in that range. I know it's not stellar in winning you your weeks, but it's not.
But that's good enough. Yeah, it's a kicker, right? You're not. You don't need Brandon Aubrey numbers every week. You don't need 20. Kicker all the time.
Sometimes it's not it. The way I view my kickers is at best their ceiling is I would like a flex like player, like 10 to 12 points for my kicker, like somewhere in that range. Like I'm not looking to get superstar numbers. I just want a kicker that gets me between the floor of like 6 points and a ceiling of about 20. Because 6 points is what? 2 field goals? He gets you 2 field goals, 6 points. Or if he gets you like 3 or 4 extra points in a field goal, that's not bad either. So I'm not basing how I'm building my rosters as my kicker being the anchor to my team and being like the highest scoring player. I'm not looking for that by any means, but I think both these guys are good to go for Sunday night indoors. Don't have to worry about the conditions, and they're both efficient offenses. Now about the defenses, how are we feeling about the defenses? Are we starting one or both?
Probably neither, right? If it's a shootout, right? It kind of sucks if they're going over 30 points. Defense, you got 4 points right there. Let's go. Let's ride.
The only outside of my fan bias, I think the Lions are the better defense to play in this matchup, just based off of how weaker that offensive line is comparatively to the lines that the Texans have. So maybe it forces pressures that can create turnovers, or maybe a couple sacks can come in. But the Lions have been known for making sacks these last few weeks. But overall, in general, I think, if you're in a desperate play, you got your stud defenses on bye, or you're not comfortable with the matchups, I'm not exactly scared off of these matchups of playing either one of these defenses.
I mean, if you're looking at it in the same way like the kickers, though, right? Because, looking back on it, against Green Bay, they had 9 points. Against the Vikings, they had 6 points. Against Seattle, they had 8 points. So teams where it was a shootout, against the Rams, they had 5 points. Where it was a shootout, the defense wasn't really holding up so much.
But you
Against
weren't
the Dallas,
exactly getting goosed either.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So, like, if you just want, just to have,
Yeah,
so
these defenses have floors. They don't necessarily have ceilings. It's kind of where you're getting.
And I mean, their floor has been a lot higher than the Texans, because on the flip side, Texans, against Green Bay, 8 points, against Buffalo, 2 points, against Jacksonville, 2 points, against Minnesota, 4 points. So against the Colts, 4 points. So when they were in shootouts, it wasn't so pretty. It wasn't as nice as the Lions. So yeah, I'd probably take the Lions over Texans if I were to look at it too.
Thank you, Seth.
But I wouldn't take either one of them just because.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I probably wouldn't go either one because I don't want to be the one holding the bag if the defense gets 30 points hung up on them and you're sitting there with like less than 5 points.
But speaking of defenses, we didn't even talk. I don't think we touched on the defenses for the Broncos Chiefs game.
Oh, we did. Can we go back on that, or is that time?
I was gonna say, are we feeling one of those defenses? Looking back, probably not, huh?
Let's put it in the context of like the Texans, Lions, Chiefs, or Broncos. Which of those 4 defenses I feel comfortable most playing out of all of those?
Lions.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna say, yeah.
I mean, yeah, when you put it like that, probably the Lions, because you want to say the Chiefs, right? But Bo Nix has been.
I don't know. I'm kind of with you, man. I think this is I think this is a game that Denver can like catch them in the jaw real fast. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 14-0 after the first quarter game, because if the Broncos can get that, quick fire, quick snap scores, I think it changes the whole dynamic of that game.
Yeah, I mean, we were a holding penalty away from going up 17-14 on the Ravens at halftime. So, there's little things that could change. So, I mean, you never know. So I'd probably
I don't know. I mean, out of the 2 defense out of that game, I'd probably play the Chiefs over the Broncos, just in the sense that like Bo Nix has been a little bit more inconsistent than Patrick Mahomes this year. Been a little bit more prone to making turnovers. So that's, if I had to like choose one, that's probably where I'd lean. But it's not like a vast like crevice between them. I mean, it's really like it's inches, like it's close. Like you can flip it either way. Like if you went Broncos, I'm totally not against that at all.
Yeah, no, very true, very true. Because any one of those defenses can have themselves a day for sure, and that might be the difference in both those games.
Yeah, I think the team that wins the turnover battle most likely wins the game.
Yep, very true, very true. I am going to drop in another Shady Sports promo.
Hell yeah!
And then we're gonna get to your team of the week.
Cool. Like it.
Awesome. See you guys on the other side. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for those of you that have been with us the whole time, man. I was hoping to see Austin tonight, but he dropped in. But yeah, guys.
Maybe he's hiding. Maybe he just hasn't commented yet. You never know.
Right, exactly. If you're out there, thanks for watching. Those of you that continue with us every Tuesday, every Sunday. We're coming and trying to bring you as much information as we can to help you with your fantasy teams, your fantasy lineups, and just some stories about our teams too. We're not, the end all be all this whatsoever. We just try to bring a different outlook from those other guys, right? So, thanks for rocking with us, and as always, just drop your questions, your teams, your trades in the chat. We're more than happy to go over that, and then you keep it going. We're over in Discord. Justin's over in Discord all the time running. He's also running Twitch. So We got the Facebook group. So all under Shady Sports. Our Shady Sports Fantasy Reports, Fantasy Football Report. So look up Fantasy Football on Discord on the Shady Sports page, or you can look up Fantasy Football Reports on Facebook, or just the Shady Sports Facebook groups. Right, and then you can always drop someone's always there to answer. And if you drop in a group, there's other fantasy shows as well too. So or fantasy football shows. So not just us. There's a dynasty show. There's another redraft. We have a show wrestling. Big Three basketball, alt football league. So all types of shows, all types of information, all types of live events on Shady Sports Network. So. Guys, just tune in. It's not just us, but we got you covered every day of the week.
And if you want even more fan engagement and interaction, you want to, get involved in possibly a fantasy football league for the roundtable of the bandwagon.
Oh yeah.
Feel free to drop said your information in any of those groups or however you do it, and we'll be more than happy to bring you upon. We're looking to get that started for next season.
Let me see. I was trying to. There we go. Got it right here. So yeah, follow us on all these platforms, and then that'd be in the Sleeper app. So if you don't know what the Sleeper app is, hit us up. We'll get you connected with it. We'll get the Shady Sports up and running, and just get the conversation in there going and build it up. Because heck, we could even do like a league, a mid-season league or short league, whatever it may be, to get it going, keep stuff. But we could definitely start it up.
It's always an option if you feel like you want to take on the challenge. We're here inviting you, giving you that opportunity.
Yeah, man. I see my boy Mike in my other league, Mike Carpenter. Shout out. We're in the Marines together. He just posted that they're starting a guillotine league. So I was like, yeah, so you can start it whenever, like maybe I'll send you that info. I'll get that over to you if you're interested. But fantasy football, we love it. We love it. So we love to keep the engagement going outside of the live show. Especially on the live show, we want you guys come join us. Bring all your team information. We love to just get that fan, or just to get that engagement going with you guys watching us. And talk about that, because that's what it's really about, is what's going on the teams here and now, right? We can sit here and spout out all stats and fantasy score and points and stuff all night and day, but you're not listening to it if it doesn't relate to your team. So let us know how we can relate the conversation to your team, and definitely bring up more information to help you and get you towards the playoffs, right? The whole goal is to try to win your league. So I know I'm trying to win all my leagues, and I'm trying to put my best foot forward with it every week when I do it. So it's what I like doing. It's my passion, my hobby, I guess you could say. So I do put my energy and time towards it. So I'm happy to help, and the same with Justin. I'm sure he's happy
absolutely
to
anytime
help you out in any way. We'll do whatever research we can to help you with your team, and do as deep of a dive as you want us to, if with the information you can get us. So let's talk about these teams, man. Let's keep it going. Always keep that conversation going is what I'm saying with that. So before we went to the break, we said I said we were going to talk about your team of the week there, Justin. We got your team.
Let's run it through it and let us know in the comments if you like it, you don't like it, will you add or take away from, or your just general thoughts. Open to it. Let us know.
There we go. Here we go. We got Justin team of the week for week 10, man. I'll let you go ahead and go through it.
Yeah, so big one. I'm going right away off with a Monday Night Miracle. You need a big game from your quarterback. You're down dozen or so points. I feel like throwing in Matt Stafford versus the Dolphins at home, Monday Night Football. Big game with big points to be had. I think Stafford's going to be slinging it all over the place between Puka and Koopa and an emerging talent of Demarcus Robinson too. I think he'll have a big game. He'll, do enough in your lineups where he could, provide you with that Monday Night Miracle. He's more than capable of it. I think he's going to have a great big game. Running back one spot on Sunday Night Football, when the lights, primetime, Jahmyr Gibbs versus the Texans. I think he's going to have a couple breakout plays and a huge performance. I know Monty will keep it between the tackles, keep the chains moving, but I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to take the top off this Texans defense and explode for a big performance this week against them. So look for Jahmyr Gibbs firing on all cylinders and get you those points, carrying your team to a big win in your matchups. My second running back spot, I'm taking Chuba Hubbard versus the Giants. They're over there in Deutschland playing in Germany against a hapless Giants team. Their defense isn't nothing to sneeze about, but at the same time, they're bleeding points to teams like the Eagles and letting the running game run all over them. I think Chuba Hubbard as the running back one in that offense. The Panthers, if it's selling weapons, they don't really have any much more options over there to get points outside of Xavier Legette. So I think Chuba Hubbard, before they go on their bye and before Jonathan Brooks comes into this fold, I think he has himself a good send-off game for fantasy-wise. He might be relevant later on rest of season, but probably not as much as he will this game. This is a big one against the Giants. Keep the winning streak alive. For my wide receivers, you know me. This is my guy. I believe in him. I've done it since the beginning of the year, all through the offseason. And I think he's going to continue to have a great week against the Cardinals over there in Arizona. Indoors, Aaron Rodgers is going to cook on the Cardinals, and his primary threat is going to be Garrett Wilson. I see a lot of points being up in this game, and I think Garrett Wilson is on the recipient of at least a half dozen catches and hopefully a touchdown, really winding up that wide receiver one spot for your matchups. Now for my second wide receiver, going with Zay Flowers versus the Bengals. Ooh, spicy divisional rivalry game under the lights on Thursday night to get your matchup started. I think Zay Flowers will have a big game against that secondary in the Bengals. He's been showing us the last 2 weeks why he's the number one wide receiver over there in Baltimore. Isn't worried about Deontay Johnson coming into the fold. Zay Flowers, I feel comfortable starting my matchup this week against whoever I'm playing in my second wide receiver spot, continuing big performances, keep that streak alive.
Okay.
Now, surprise, going with my tight end, spicing it up, switching it up, throwing a little curveball here. I'm going to do Hunter Henry versus the Bears. I think with the inconsistencies and the underperformances coming out of the wide receivers the last couple of weeks for the Patriots, not necessarily indefensible with lack of quarterback play and consistency. I think Hunter Henry would be a great safety blanket to whomever is throwing quarterback for the Patriots this weekend. And going up against the Bears at home, they're going to have to score somehow. I don't think it's going to be in the running game. I don't think it's going to be with the wide receivers. I think a security blanket with Hunter Henry over the middle and in the red zone is the best recipe for success for the Patriots against the Bears, and he should feast for you in your lineups in your tight end spot to fill in for any injuries or bye weeks you might have, or you're just not comfortable with the options you have outside of him. Now with my flex, this is a total taking advantage of a situation play. I'm going Darnell Mooney versus the Saints. Saints traded away a player for the trade deadline that is a very effective player in their defensive shape. And Darnell Mooney is going to probably take advantage of maybe Drake London beating her out. I'll let Sed be the judge of that. He's got the finger on the pulse for Drake London. But Darnell Mooney, I think he's going to do a great job against that Saints defense. He's been outstanding the last couple of weeks, and he's stepped up in his absence before. I think Kirk Cousins is going to keep cooking, and Darnell Mooney is going to be his number one option, his number one target outside of Drake London if he doesn't play. So I feel comfortable throwing Darnell Mooney in my flex versus those Saints. Now a kicker, I think Shawnee would like this one. Coming off the bye, fresh, rested, good leg, big leg, and another matchup that I think it's not going to necessarily be a shootout, but I think points will be had and points will be scored. And I just don't think it's going to be a kicker shootout. I think it'll be a lot of field goals, a lot of extra points. And I feel going Chris Boswell against the Commanders. He's arguably the best kicker in the league right now for fantasy-wise and fantasy purposes. He's very exceptional in his accuracy, and I'm confident firing him up this week against the Commanders. For my defense, I'm kind of picking on low-hanging fruit here, but I just like what I saw out of the Chargers defense these last few weeks, especially against the red-hot Browns coming off of their last week big performances by really shutting the door on them and locking them up and not letting their stars do what they like to do. So Jim Harbaugh has those guys motivated and ready to play some serious football. And what great teams do is they beat up on teams they should. And I feel the Chargers defense will cook up some hopefully some turnovers, but at the very least, they'll keep this to a low-scoring game for the Titans side of the ball, and it'll be very good for your matchups for a good floor.
Nice. What do
you think, Ted? What do you think there's – what do you think? Hit me with it.
I think looking at this team first, we'll see what Little John thinks.
Oh, thanks, Little John. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Little John likes it, but
I know it's not filled with a bunch of superstars, but I think I got a good blend of the right players to give me the dub.
This is a team that'll just get to work and will get you consistency. Matt Stafford against the Dolphins, I can see it, man. If that's a shootout, if we got Puka back, Matt Stafford should be over 20s. You know, he should be at least like, you know,
he's got to keep up with Tua, right?
Low 20s. Yeah, he has to keep up with Tua, right? Get that shootout going. And they can do that. They've been doing that ever since he's got his receivers back to the point to where we're talking about DeMarcus Robinson, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, he's gonna get his, right. He has to show up Joe Mixon. He has to continue to outrush Montgomery, right?
Will we call it a running back shootout? Like, do you think it's gonna be like a Joe Mixon has a big play, and then Jahmyr Gibbs has a big play? Then
they have to, man. That's the thing. Jahmyr Gibbs has a run for his life every single week because he's out running.
We gotta catch him. He's got those rings, man.
Well, it's just if he slows down, Montgomery can take over at any point. That's the thing. So it keeps it pushing. So I like Jahmyr Gibbs. Chuba, woo, man, Chuba just went off. I'm mad I had Chuba on the bench. This is like my team.
He did.
Right
I didn't even pay attention to that Saints. I know this is probably bad for being candid about, but I didn't really follow any of that Saints Panthers game last week.
21
points. Get knocked out.
Yeah, he had 21 points.
Holy crap! Okay,
it went off. I know. This is like these top 4 players, like 3 players, like on my team. Because I was looking at the game, should I start Matt?
Well, I swear I wasn't looking at your lineup when I was picking these.
Nah, it's good to go. Garrett Wilson. I mean, I don't have Garrett Wilson, but it's sure-handed Garrett Wilson, right? Like, doesn't matter.
I think he's really blossoming too with the arrival of Devontae Adams. That's freeing up the coverage with him. He's not getting the shadows or the doubles, and he's really feasting off of it. I don't know what you've noticed in the games, but I think he's thriving very well.
Yeah. No, I think same thing. Like, I think he's able to eat, comfortably without having to be hero and play hero.
And man, that second touchdown catch last week. What did you think about that, Seth?
Man, he's just making memories. Yeah. And it's just making Aaron Rodgers look good, which is not hard to do.
And a happy Rodgers is a good Rodgers. And if a good Rodgers is happy, he's going to get you the ball. So
yep. And he's going to keep it rolling. And they're having their second win. So it's exciting to see what happens with that. Zay Flowers, same thing, man. He had a very, very big game against the Broncos, unfortunately. Like, as they sat,
and that's impressed me to put him in my lineup because, like, if he could do that with PS2 back there, Riley Moss against that Broncos defense, I'm like, well, hell, let's fire him up against the Bengals.
Go.
The Bengals
especially
aren't as
when
good
they're
in
rolling
defense.
like that. Yeah, especially when they're rolling. They're like the Ravens, man. Such a team, man. Such a team. But yeah, Hunter Henry. Oh, dang! Like,
I feel like that's my spicier take of my lineup so far.
That's like, okay, yeah. If you're playing him, you might as well, right? You got to play everybody once. You got to be fair, right?
Yeah. Well, I also think too, like, he's like the best option they have for receiving the ball. I mean, I don't really see any of these wide receivers stepping up and like blowing the top off of any defenses. And I think the Bears defense will be stout. They'll keep things in front of them. They won't be blown up by any big plays. And I think Hunter Henry is going to, have a half dozen or so receptions and a chunk of yards.
Especially against the Saints too. Yeah. Or against the Bears. Sorry.
Yeah.
Shootout. I don't know.
I feel like the Patriots will have to be playing from behind the majority of the game. So they're going to have to throw the ball. I don't know. I don't know this week.
Yeah. See, so we'll see.
But I think Damian will agree with me that the Bears will have this game handedly and they'll put the Patriots away.
We'll see. Darnell Mooney versus the Saints. Man, like you were saying, I mean, he becomes the guy. He was already like half the guy, right? He was looking pretty good with Kurt Cochains, and it's against the Saints. It's such a different tune from the first time they played, right? When everybody expected the Saints to roll. So I think, he's going to have himself a day, especially with Ray McLeod on the other side, playing that Tank Dell role, able to get, some coverage pulled in, and then, Kyle Pitts starting to emerge. So we'll see how it looks. I think, Darnell Mooney.
This is kind of like my redemption pick in the flex because, yeah, I agree.
Especially if you lost,
I was just going to say that, like,
London, if you lost like Drake London, or if you have AJ Brown going out for the week, or
I don't. I don't know if this guy has been on your bench all year or like he's on waivers. Like, go get him. But like, this is my redemption player from the beginning of the season. Like, I was really down on him in the offseason getting traded to the Falcons. I didn't think it really was a splash move or that he was going to be doing any better than he was when he was with the Bears for the Falcons. But I give this man props. He's balling out. He's doing his thing, and he's getting a rapport with Kirk Cousins and that connection, and it's showing in the fantasy world. In the NFL world, he's being successful for the team. He's helping them catch wins and like doing his thing and earning that paycheck. But like in the fantasy world for us, where it's relevant, like I give him props. He really outplayed his draft position for where you might have taken him or picked him up off the waivers after the draft. Like, props to you, man. Tip of the hat. Darnell Mooney, keep it rolling against the Saints this weekend.
Yep. And then Chris Boswell, I mean, you getting solid points, especially against the Commanders. It should be a high-scoring game.
Russell Wilson versus Jaden Daniels.
Right.
Oof.
So it should be a lot of points, a lot of field goals.
Is that game in Pittsburgh or Washington, do you know?
Let me see. I can tell you.
Ooh, it's in Washington.
Yep.
Okay.
Dang, Steelers are 6-2. Those are crazy.
Yeah.
It's another NFC AFC top of the food chain game.
Shawnee
like
might argue that it's a Super Bowl preview.
Nah.
Nah.
What if Russ does take the Steelers to the Super Bowl?
Oh man,
that'd be wild. Is he Hall of Fame? If he wins the Super Bowl with the Steelers, is he Hall of Fame?
I don't know, man.
Is that enough?
Not
to get
with
him
the
to the Hall of
Broncos.
Fame? I know, right? And then Chargers versus.
You were supposed to do that with your Broncos, Seth.
Oh man, that was Chargers versus Titans defense. I hope the Titans crap all over the Chargers. I hope Tony Pollard has 4 touchdowns.
Hey, I do too. I have him in a lot of leagues. Please, Tony.
Oh, let's look at this. We got your IDP of the week really quick.
Let's not forget about my favorite position.
Yeah, last week you hit it. I mean, I got some solid points, but
yeah, I even have the stats. So last week I had Zaire Franklin, and he ended up finishing the game with 23 points, 8 tackles, and an interception, 7 solo, 1 assisted. So he was all over the place. But this IDP, I've been hearing it whispers, not really whispers, but shouts from the sidelines, and I really want to give him his flowers and his showcase on the stage and the limelight right now. Giving him Zach Bond versus the Dallas Cowboys. They just lost their star quarterback. Their running game has not been exceptional by any means or any sort of a threat. And with the possibility that CeeDee Lamb is not 100% or at worst doesn't play this game at all, I think he'll just feast on that Cowboys offense. Last week against the Jags, you see it, 1 interception, 2 passes defended, 10 tackles, 7 solo, 3 assisted, 31 points. Those are good numbers, and those will help win you your matchups if you have an IDP spot on your roster. If he's available, I highly recommend you go get him now. I doubt it because he's a very emerging talent over these last few weeks. But if you're kind of struggling in the IDP department, looking to make a move, I highly recommend you go making a move and try to acquire Zach Bond. You'll be happy you did.
What was his usage percentage?
Good question. Good question.
Pull it up too.
Yes.
Zach Bond. There we go. Let's see. 98%. He was at 100% the week before. He had 54 points last week.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, he had 49 points the week before that.
Yeah, and like Shawnee's been telling me about him for the longest time now, and I've been looking, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I give Shawnee all the credit on this one for digging him up and finding him and putting him on the radar for me.
Good gosh, that's a good one. It's a good one. See, guys, we don't just talk PPR. I mean, we do. It's PPR still. I mean, we got linebackers in my league instead of defenses. So
I'm appreciative I have a platform here to talk about IDPs and stuff because I play a few IDP leagues. I like the format.
See it a bit more. You're starting to see a bit more. I think as I start playing more like leagues with IDP players, I'm more tempted to play NBA fantasy. Which
you haven't you haven't dipped your toes in the water yet?
I did dip my toes and I was just like, nope. So I think it might be more enticing to jump into that.
I love my basketball.
Like, hey, well, maybe we'll have to get let's get a basketball league going. I'm totally down to start. We have to start it like now, like next week. So you guys listening want to do a basketball league, let us know. We'll do that.
I'm all for it. I'm in a league. I'm loving it.
Then maybe we can flip, as the NFL season dies down, we'll flip it into basketball.
Fantasy. You would make me the happiest boy, Seth.
Let's go. I'm with it.
I love the NBA. I follow that a lot.
I'm a Nuggets
but primarily I focus on NFL and fantasy. Don't get me wrong, guys. Here, I love my fantasy football. I love my NFL,
like sports. It's okay. You can like all sports. I like basketball too. Like basketball is my steez. I just don't follow as hardcore as I guess football. But I'm down to. I'm really down to. Unless So yeah, guys, keep it going. We'll keep it going with basketball. So let us know your basketball team too, so we can talk about those as we transition. I
won't tell said mine because we got kind of a rivalry here.
Yeah. Who's your team then?
Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh yeah,
Anthony Edwards, best player.
Anthony Edwards, man, no joke, is the best player in it. 3-time MVP, about to be 4-time MVP. There's only Joker. The first player to get was 150 points, 150 rebounds, 150 assists by like in the first 18 games or something. Come on, we're getting the 4th MVP. We're about to get our championship back. We're about to walk
rivalry. I love it.
So yeah, exactly. So we'll have a lot to talk about too on that front. But as far as we'll keep it this, just transition. But anyway, we're on every
wrapping
Tuesday.
It up here.
Yeah, we're on every Tuesday live, guys. 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. Live Mountain Standard Time. And I say Mountain Standard Time so you know what time zone it is. So, like, if you're in the East Coast, it's not Mountain Standard. If you're in the West Coast, that's West Coast. If you're in Arizona, you do what you want, right?
I know I had to adjust to it from the beginning of the season.
I know you're always like, wait, what is that like in my time?
Yeah.
So hopefully it gives you guys a chance to do the math.
Yeah.
But as you can see, come join us. We're live. We like it live, but if you can't catch us live, you can catch us on all the social media formats. Probably your favorite social media, just search Shady Sports Network or search Fantasy Football Reports. And we
got something for you somewhere. Well, somewhere on this network, we got something
somewhere on this network. Because we're coming consistently.
We love for it to be us, but if that's not the case, we got all kinds of things here on the network that we'd love for you to check out and be a part of.
Exactly, and we just love to keep it growing. So even if
you stay tuned with us long enough, we might get the man, the myth, the legend on the show, and you want to check that out. We might get Sam on here, hang out with us.
Shady himself. So yeah, let's call him out. Sam, come on here, y'all. Tag Sam.
Throw up the bat signal.
Shady, so he knows to come on the show and talk some fantasy football with us, because
especially his Eagles. We haven't had an Eagles take on this year so far.
Maybe we'll have to try to get an Eagles Elite on here too. We'll have to.
If they're up for it,
crossovers with some other shows. So all you other shows out there watching too.
As we grow, these possibilities happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that happens by you helping us out by liking, sharing, following, subscribing, dropping in the Facebook group, dropping in the Discord channel, the Sleeper app, throwing us up on Twitch, whatever it takes. We love doing it here for you. So let's keep this thing growing together.
Yep. What he said. I couldn't say it better myself. So, aside from that, I guess, so who you got winning Broncos Chiefs game?
I, 'cause, 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 ' Until proven otherwise, I'm gonna go Chiefs. Until someone, I know. I thought it was gonna be the Buccaneers this week, and I was hoping that was the case, but overtime settled that monster. So I'm hoping though, like my logical brain is saying it's gonna be the Chiefs, but my fantasy purposes and fan purposes, I'd like to see the Broncos put the Chiefs in their place in Kansas City in front of Taylor Swift and all those guys.
Sit back.
Who are you taking before we get out of here? Who are you taking for the Thursday night game? Are you going Bengals or are you going Ravens?
That was a close one last time, right?
I know.
It
came down to one of the final plays.
Yeah. Man, Ravens are rolling right now. Bengals are gonna be working in a new running system. Chase Brown's been there, but I mean,
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, and then I think I got Ravens. Coming out on top on that one.
I'm going Bengals. I think Burrow and the boys will be ready to go, and they're gonna give the Ravens their best shot.
Okay, there you go. And maybe we'll have to, I know you're, maybe we'll jump in Discord or something and do a voice chat during the game. That'd be kind of cool or something.
Come join us on there Thursday night at I don't know when the kickoff is, but maybe we'll pop in there. We'll stay tuned. Look at our channels for notifications and stay on top of it.
Yeah, I guess
it'll be a different vibe. It isn't like spitting out fantasies that we were just hanging out, watching football, enjoying the game together, and answering questions or whatever about the show and whatnot.
Kind of like Sunday nights, where we're watching the game and just kind of, touching in on it. That's the thing too. Sunday nights I want to do more like talking on the game, commenting on the game going on. So and then we'll work around it. So we'll kind of do like our version of Man and Cast, but better.
Yeah, maybe this will be the warm up. Maybe this will be like the audition to get that started. You just won't see our pretty faces if we do the Thursday night thing because we'll be on audio.
I got a face for radio anyway.
What?
Cool. So yeah, guys. Is there anything else you got, Justin? Before we get
I think you nailed it on the head. Just follow us, get on us wherever you can find us, guys. We appreciate it. We love you for all the comments, all the questions, all the interactions, engagements. Thank you. You're helping us grow and build and get better. And we love doing this for you. We love doing it in general, just for the love of the game. So look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Yep. Like you said, guys, thanks for John Paul O'Keefe. Thanks for rejoining us, coming back on. Andrew Burrow.
Oh yeah, Bills Mafia. Let's go.
Hernandez. Yeah, there we go. Bills Mafia. Boo.
Thanks, Davey, for chiming in. Go Bears, go! Hopefully, get a big win this weekend.
Damn,
you won't hear me rooting for the Bears that often, but for you, Damien, I'll give you a hoorah. Let's go Bears.
Oh man. All right. Well, we got to get out of here after that one.
Yeah, I know. I kind of spurred my voice after saying that.
I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer.